Welcome to the Clayball podcast. I am your host, Clay Putoff. I love sports. I love everything about sports. And this is, if you're someone who loves sports, come to listen, to watch, whatever you're watching this on, to this podcast. I'm so excited to start it up. Kind of started up. I kind of tried starting it up last year and it, wasn't high quality or anything like that. Super excited to really get into this. I actually have a background this time. I have other things going on. I am so pumped up to start this podcast. Before I get into all of the things about myself, who am I, what is this, all of those things, let's just talk about sports. I first want to start off with some of the headlines that we've seen in the past week. First being, this is in no particular order of importance, but let's just start. Aaron Rodgers re-signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not a surprise, honestly. It was either Steelers or retiring. I didn't see any other team really wanting to get in the mix. No other team really needs a quarterback that bad outside of, I can't even think of a single team. But the Steelers, it just made sense for them to go back, right? They already have basically everything else filled out. Is it great? Not necessarily. Is it okay? I think it's pretty solid. You got Jalen Moore, and they just signed Rico Dowdle, which I think will be really, really fun to watch on the Steelers team already with Jalen Moore, and they might run a couple running back lineups. I mean, it'll be a lot of fun to watch that. Rico Dowdle had a very good year last year. DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, they just traded for this offseason. Pat Freiermuth, who they've had forever. They have okay offensive line, nothing too insane. But what's really fascinating about this team is their defense. I actually think their defense is quite interesting. They're made up of guys like Cam Hayward, the veteran. They obviously have TJ Watt, one of the best defensive players I've ever personally seen play the game of football. The team's gross. The problem is Aaron Rodgers isn't prime Aaron Rodgers. And so the Steelers going back to get Aaron Rodgers, yes, it was probably a last bet type of thing where they just couldn't get anybody else. They didn't draft anybody too interesting. They didn't really try for anything too spectacular, and that led to them just re-signing Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers still needs to retire. He's been in the league for 125 years, and all of these different things that Aaron Rodgers has said and all these things, he needs to retire. He's the oldest player in the league, which is kind of wild, by the way. The fact that he's still playing at a pretty okay level at 42 years old. The problem is he's not prime Aaron Rodgers. And so, yes, you have other pieces that'll make it a lot of fun. You have other pieces that could make that team a lot of fun to watch, to fight for a playoff spot. But I don't think they're going to be anything too crazy, especially in the division that they're in. Right, the Ravens are always going to be good as long as they have Lamar Jackson. The Bengals are always going to be good, assuming they don't get injured like they did last year. Joe Burrow will be back. They still have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, all of the guys. If they're still going to be a good team, the Bengals are going to be. They just went to the Super Bowl just a few years back. Like, we always forget about that. That division is stacked. So I don't see them, when it comes to the Steelers, winning the division necessarily, but I could definitely see them fighting for a playoff spot. Not much else has really happened in the NFL, to be honest with you. David Njoku signed with the Chargers. Kind of an interesting one there. But other than that, that's really it. Not much else has happened in the NFL recently. It's been kind of dead, if you want to say it like that. Nothing crazy happened except for maybe Ty Simpson. Is that the one who got drafted super high to the Rams? Yeah. Ty Simpson drafted to the Rams. That's a crazy pull, crazy reach. He definitely is going to sit under Matthew Stafford for at least a year. Matthew Stafford just won MVP. I don't really understand why they would really use their high draft pick to go after a quarterback. I've never really understood it, and it was a big surprise in the draft. But it's fun. It's fun, and I think the Rams are really looking towards their future, which is good, especially considering they really haven't looked towards a future in a while. They've been focusing on win now, win now. That was a big slap. Win now, win now, win now. With Matthew Stafford winning MVP and Aaron Donald, they won their Super Bowl. Aaron Donald retires. Von Miller lead. Like, they went all in on that one Super Bowl season. They got it, thank goodness. But that doesn't really mean that they're focused on their future. I'm sure their draft capital is very light, especially in the next however many years, just from trading it to go get other players, to go get, I forget who was it Jalen Ramsey that they traded for? It probably was. Anyways, that's the Rams. The NFL is really boring. It's the off season. Not much is happening. Training camp hasn't started yet. It's just kind of in the dead zone where all the extra free agents that are out there are still looking to sign. Not much else is happening. So that's the NFL. Let's move on to something more interesting. Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway was just announced. It's going to happen on July 11th. UFC 329. For those of you who don't know UFC, I would guess that's a lot of people who don't really know the UFC very well. But I will say one of the names that you should know, that most fans of any sort of sport, or even not fans of any sport, know, is Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is a showman. He used to be in the UFC for a while. He hasn't fought in like 5 years or something like that. And all of a sudden, we get this announcement that he's fighting Max Holloway. Max Holloway is at the peak, maybe not the peak, but he's very, very good right now. He's very, very talented. He's had a bunch of good fights. They've already fought one time. It was in 2013. So these are two, I don't want to say old, but they're old, right? They're old guys in the UFC. They're known veterans within the UFC. That's a nicer way to put it. And Conor McGregor won that fight in 2013 by unanimous decision. Conor McGregor is 37, which in UFC terms, that's old. That's very old. In fact, I don't know how often you see a fighter who's that old compete in the UFC just because of how physically taxing it is. Max Holloway is 34. So both these guys are super respected, well, in a way, respected veterans of their sport. Clashing on July 11th, 7-Eleven. Go get yourself a slushie and then go watch the fight. That would be fun. At least that'd be fun to me. So, Max Holloway versus McGregor is going to happen. That'll be a lot of fun. I don't know if anyone cares. I'm sure some people do. Ronda Rousey just fought yesterday. At the time of this recording, I think it was 2 days ago, maybe. And she kicked the other girl's butt. I don't know much about the other girl. So all I saw was that she hasn't fought in 17 years. Ronda Rousey hasn't fought in 10. And Ronda Rousey came in and put her in an armbar in 17 seconds and submitted her. That's unreal. She's, they call her the baddest woman on the planet or whatever they call her. But it's just unreal, right? Being able to see that, being able to watch Ronda Rousey finish off her career and in a way like that actually kind of made me happy. I'm not a huge fan of Ronda Rousey. I don't really care for Ronda Rousey, but being able to see someone who was one of the best fighters to ever live, especially one of the best female, probably maybe the best women's fighter to ever live, being able to finish her career off a win when she had two very painful losses is unfortunate. Very unfortunate, but very, very happy that she was able to finish off her career on her own terms, being able to win in 17 seconds. It just, it felt like prime Ronda Rousey. It was a lot of fun. I think Nate Diaz was on that card. Kind of random. Anyways, that's totally irrelevant. I don't know anything about what happened in that fight other than he got his butt kicked. But let's move on to the NBA, right? This is the sport that, as you'll come to learn, this is the one I know most about, and so I'm going to probably talk about more niche things in the NBA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won MVP. His second one in a row. The Thunder are still the best team in the NBA by far. They could end up going on to win another championship this season. It would be a back-to-back. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is already becoming an all-time player. He's already somebody that will be seen, assuming he continues this trajectory, as one of the best players to ever live. I still can't believe the Clippers traded him away. Actually, I can, because I thought it was a good trade in the moment. I was one of those. Shai winning MVP is cool. It's great. And he absolutely deserves it. Problem is, there's this other guy by the name of Nikola Jokic, who had one of his best seasons ever. He already has 3 MVPs. People don't want him to win a 4th because that'll put him in conversations of Moses Malone, I think, has 4. LeBron, MJ. I don't know who has most MVPs, actually. I don't know how I don't know this. Kareem has 6. MJ and Bill Russell have 5. LeBron and Wilt have 4. And then Jokic, So yeah, Jokic would be in. Oh, he's already in Moses Malone territory. He would be in LeBron and Wilt territory, and it would be impossible to deny his greatness. And so I see people as being scared of that, especially considering he's won one championship with a small market team. People just don't like that idea. Shea absolutely deserved the MVP. Absolutely deserved it. Jokic could have won it. Victor Wembanyama could have won it. Anthony Edwards, if he would have stayed healthy, probably could have won it. Luka, if he stayed healthy, probably could have won it. There's so many guys in the NBA right now that I actually see as true threats to an MVP, as some of the best players in the NBA. It's a lot of fun to watch right now. The NBA is in a really good spot. I'm excited to see where it goes from there. And we got 2 series left in the NBA, both in their conference finals. The first one is Knicks versus Cavs. The Cavs actually just walked the Pistons yesterday. At the time of recording, it was yesterday. They just walked the Pistons, and I mean walked. Like it was just not even fair. Jared Allen is becoming the greatest Game 7 player to ever live. Love seeing that. Super awesome. I wish I could have watched. I was actually on an airplane while it was on, but I saw they got walked, and I was kind of disappointed because I really like the Pistons. I also like the Cavs, so this isn't like that big of a deal. But I really do like the Pistons. I think they'll be fine going forward. The Cavs just ate their lunch. I guess they're more motivated. So Knicks versus Cavs. Knicks are obviously probably seen as the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. Obviously, they're there and they're better than the Cavs. So that makes it, it makes sense. I think the Knicks will probably pull this one out, but I do think the Cavs have a really good chance to push it to Game 7, to push it to Game 8. There's no Game 8. I was about to say Game 8. That would have been unfortunate. Push it to Game 7 and be able to see a really entertaining series. Really excited for that series. Donovan Mitchell, so excited to see what he can do. Harden, I'd love to see James Harden in the NBA Finals for the first time in his career. I'd love, love, love to see it. I would probably be rooting for the Cavs just because I think that would be probably just the Harden thing. I think it'd be sick to get him a ring. But either way, it would be so fun because I would love to see Knicks fans, the insanity of the New York Knicks fans in the NBA Finals going against either the Spurs or Thunder, which that's the other series we're going to talk about. OKC is still the best team in the league. I don't need to say much about the Thunder. I don't. Right? Everyone's talking about the Thunder. They're the best team, we've seen since probably the Warriors dynasty, or even before that. They're that good. This Thunder team is that dominant. This is the first time in, I don't know if it was ever or in a very long time, that we're seeing 2 teams that have won 62 games or more in a season battling it out in the conference finals. That's so fun. I think whoever wins that series wins the NBA Finals, to be honest. I don't see a world where the Thunder lose anything, but I think the Spurs will give them a series. I think Wemby will give them a series. I just think the Spurs are a little too new to the NBA playoffs. They haven't really battled it out like this ever, and so going up against probably the most probably the most experienced playoff team in the playoffs still, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a hard series for the Spurs. I don't see them winning. Thunder, my bet is gonna be on Thunder versus Knicks. That's my brief rundown of the NBA playoffs, the rest of the NBA playoffs. My bracket's been so wrong since the start, so part of me hopes that it continues like that and just is wrong, just completely wrong, because that's more fun, that's more entertaining. Last thing I want to talk about before we get into who the heck am I, what the heck is this? The Colorado Avalanche, Minnesota Wild. Look, I don't watch much hockey, I don't, but watching that series, at least a majority of that series, was unbelievable. It made me love hockey. Yes, I am from Colorado. Yes, I am a Denver sports fan. So obviously I'm going to be biased towards the Avalanche. The Wild put up a fight, right? And they still lost 3-1. The Avs are that good. The Avs are going to go down as one of the best NHL teams to ever live if they end up winning the Stanley Cup. So excited to see the Avs and Golden Knights in this next round. I don't see a world where the Avs lose. It's kind of the same thing as the Thunder. They're just that good. I don't see a world where they lose. That first game where they have 15 goals by 14 different people, that's unreal. That is peak hockey. That is going to go down as one of the best hockey games ever. I couldn't give you a list of better ones that I know of. Again, not a hockey freak. Watching this Avs Wild series made me want to watch hockey more, and so hopefully I will be able to get into hockey. That's all for the sports side of things. I want to get into the real side of what is this? This is going to be my introduction episode. Again, super excited. So, you probably, if you're brand new and don't know who I am, probably wondering, why is this guy on my screen? Why have I already watched 20 minutes of an episode? Why am I sitting here, watching this dude who no one knows, completely unknown, and is probably, just a guy, just a fan of sports? And that's exactly right. I am just a fan of sports. Who am I beyond just a sports fan? Right? You know that I like sports. I like all sorts of sports. I like basketball. That's the one I played in high school. I just know basketball the best. I pay attention to it the most. It's the sport that I just love the most overall. I grew up watching football. I was a Broncos fan. Obviously, I already said this briefly. I'm from Colorado, so I like all the Denver sports. That's just who I am. That's what I like. Big Nuggets fan. Really became a Nuggets fan. Really, when Jokic came to the team, that was when I started really caring about the Nuggets, because the Broncos were good before that, and so it was all in on the Broncos. And then the Nuggets got good, Broncos got bad, so I started thinking about the Nuggets. It's how it goes as sports. Rockies are always there, but we'll talk about the Rockies later. But who am I just beyond a sports fan, right? There's three things that I care about when it comes to overall broad topics, right? I care about outside of sports. We're not talking about sports right now. I care about family, I care about friends, and I care about my faith. Those are the three things, the three F's, right? The relationships that I make with people, the people that I talk to, the friends that I make, my girlfriend, my parents, my sisters, all those things are super important to me. And so, because of that, I want to shape this podcast to be a lot more real. I want it to be raw. I want it to be interesting to people, right? This isn't something that's just going to turn to another sports podcast, which I know that watching the first 15 minutes of this whole podcast, like, it was just sports, right? But what I want you to understand is, yes, I'm going to talk about sports because I love sports. But after I talk about sports, I'm going to talk about something real, right? We're going to talk about something more important. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about our faith. We're going to talk about uh, stories that I have. We're going to talk about, like, I want to even bring my mom on, who's not a sports fanatic like I am. And we're going to talk about motherhood, right? Just things like that. Like, there's going to be a lot of different things that I want to talk about. I want to be able to bring in guests, former athletes, current athletes, future athletes. I want to be able to bring all these people on to be able to shape a conversation that is technically sports based, but not necessarily like every other sports podcast, right? Sports really has just been my whole personality growing up. You can ask everybody, right? I was the guy who wore neon clothes. I was the guy who wore orange and blue, whatever. Like, because I was just all Broncos, everything was Broncos. I wore shorts. I played football at recess. Like, all of the stereotypical sports nerd type things, and that's just what I did. Sports is something that got me through tough mental times, right? It's something that, first of all, before I get into that, you're probably going to see me get emotional a lot on this podcast. So those of you who are my friends and never get to see me emotional, there'll probably be a few episodes where I'll be emotional. I'll be talking about harder things, right? Sports got me through a tough mental times. There's times I've grown up my whole life. I've had pretty serious anger issues, pretty serious temper problems, and that my way out and my way of avoiding that was by playing sports. I can take it out on playing sports. I get frustrated during sports, whatever, but it's different because it's sports, right? It got me through tough mental times. That's going to be its own podcast itself. I'm going to share my full testimony, and I'm really excited to do that. It's something that I really, really want to do. I think it's really good for those of you who are Christians out there who are. I guess I didn't even mention that. I said my faith, Christianity. I'm a Christian. I follow Jesus Christ. I believe that He saved my life. All those things, right? I'm gonna get into all that, in this whole podcast, so I don't need to go super in depth. Sports were something that I could turn to always. I always felt like it was something in this world that I was able to turn to. And so, yes, I was obviously a fan. Yes, I obviously had all those things, but it was also something that got me through tough mental times. Again, I'll get into it later podcast. You'll understand what that means later. I'm not hiding anything. I don't want to hide anything. I have struggles just like everyone else. And this is kind of just, this podcast is going to be a way for me to be able to share those things and really hopefully impact some people with that. The purpose of the podcast is later. But so who am I? Right? My name is Clay. Start with that. My name is Clay. I have been a sports watcher, a sports fan my whole life, right? That's what I do in my free time. I research sports, I watch sports, I enjoy sports, I care about sports. I have all the Twitter notifications, X notification, whatever on. I think I listen to athletes. I want to listen to podcasts that are athletes talking. I look up to athletes. I've always liked sports, right? That's who I am, And so a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, you don't have any credibility. You're just some guy. Yeah, I am just some guy, but I'm some guy that's real, right? You see guys like Stephen A. Smith, and Mad Dog, and I'm blanking on the dude's name, Shannon Sharp, and Skip Bayless, and whatever, like I don't know why Mad Dog was in that group, but those dudes aren't real, right? They are a character. I am not someone who's a character. I don't see myself as a character. Obviously, there's going to be times where I'm performing in a way to make it more interesting for you guys. You guys are going to get bored if I'm just sitting here like this, like, Bo Nix won the Super Bowl. That's great. Next. Like, you're going to get bored of that, right? That's not something that fascinates anybody. And so I personally believe that you're going to get a better perspective of sports from a fan than an analyst, because analyst is told to focus on something. I choose to focus on different things. There's different things that I care about. There's different things I focus on. Yes, and there's going to be some things I'm not as knowledgeable about because I don't research them as a job, but I do care about them. And so if I hear something interesting, I go listen to it, I go watch it. That's what I like to do. So what experience do I have? Right? For my credibility. I have played basketball. I've played basically every single sport that has ever existed. Literally every sport. I pay attention to smaller sports to an extent, obviously. Like I said, I watch. I'm a fan. I study. I research all of these different things. I just really care. I mean, it's just to say it. It's just I'm saying all these in different ways. I have coached little kids soccer. I work for the Colorado Rapids. I'm not even a soccer guy, but like that keeps me around the soccer world. Um, yeah, I think it's as simple as that. To be honest, all those things shape the perspective I have, and you'll see it come out as we go on. But so what do I see in sports that might a lot of people might overlook? I wrote a bunch of questions. By the way. That's why I keep looking over. What do I see in sports that others might overlook? The thing that I see in sports that others overlook, I think, is the culture that it has. It's how people come together for sports, even if they're Eagles fans and Cowboys fans, right? Like they're still somehow going to come together and they're going to bond over these sports events. It's something that's super cool. It's something I think is super unique. Again, all of these things I'm talking about will probably be much deeper discussed in other episodes, so I'm not going to go super deep into it, but that's kind of my answer to that. So have I ever struggled? This is a good question. Have I ever struggled with tying my identity to performance or success? Yes. Let me re-say that question more clearly. Have I ever struggled with tying my identity to performance or success? Yes, I absolutely have. And the one thing that I've learned with sports is that it will let you down. It's something that will not give you back what you've been putting into it 99% of the time. I put everything into sports, right? My high school life, I put all of my identity into sports. I cared about sports. I wanted to do sports. I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to go to practice. I wanted to play games. I wanted to do all the things that sports have to offer. And all that led me to was a terrible mental time in my life. That's all it led me to, because I wasn't putting my identity in Christ. I wasn't putting my identity in my family. I wasn't putting my identity in my friends. I cared about sports. That's what I wanted to do. It did not end well. The second that I put sports at the middle and the top and the bottom and everywhere in my life, that's what I want. And that's why I'm not going to make this podcast fully sports based, right? Because I mean, yeah, it'll have sports, but I don't want it. That is not me. I am not someone who is going to let sports overtake my life anymore. I used to do that and I don't anymore. Again, different episode. I have a whole draft. That one will probably actually come really soon. Um, what lessons from sports have carried over into my real life? The big thing that I think is not putting all my chips into the sports basket, right? I kind of briefly said it already. Sports will let you down. Not putting all your chips in the sports basket allows you to be able to go find, or in my case, go find a girlfriend, go find Christ, go see my family more, go work more, go make money, be able to start a job, right? All these different things. And so, not putting all my chips into the sports basket, it allowed me to really dig into the important things in my life that I love and that I care about and that I want and need. So, why am I starting this podcast right now? Coming up on the end of college, I believe that this is probably the most free time I'm ever going to have this summer and throughout my last semester of college. I attend Grand Canyon University, by the way, for anyone who did not know that. GCU is a great school. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. All the ASU people are probably going to diss on it and stuff. But it's coming up on the end of college, right? Podcast. I also last semester took a podcast class. It was literally called Podcast. Super sweet. My professor was awesome. Joanna, etc. Phenomenal person. Go look her up. She's awesome. She's really helped me take steps towards doing this. I took a podcast class, and it really led me to believe that this could end up being something that I want to do with my life. I want to be able to make this a job, right? This would allow me to have a family and be able to really pay attention to my family. This would be something that would be on my own time. This would be something that I could really focus on as a hobby and also maybe a job if it were to blow up. I've always wanted to do a podcast, right? I love talking about sports, talking about life, talking about whatever, and this gives me a place to do it and do it on my own terms, right? I don't need to worry about offending people. I don't need to worry about all that, right? Yes, I'm posting it, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to worry about offending people. Because to be honest, I don't really care. Um, what kind of conversations do I want to have that aren't happening enough? I have said this multiple times. I just want honest and raw conversation. It's something that I want so badly to happen among people. I want raw, honest conversation. That's it. It can be about whatever topic you want. It could be about something really hard, really difficult, like suicidal thoughts. Or it can be something really hard, or really easy, really easy. It can be about music, right? It could be about sports. It could be about music. It could be about stuffed animals. I'm just looking around my room right now. It could be about journaling. It could be about the mental side of sports. It could be about having a past relationship or a future relationship, wanting a future relationship. It could be about an athlete comes on who I ask them about their career. It could be about your family. It could be about motherhood, like I said earlier. It could be about something I know nothing about. I just want to talk about it. I want to have raw, honest conversation, and I want to be able to spread the gospel in the process. I want to be able to talk about whatever comes up. Right? There's athletes I have in mind that have hobbies. I want to talk about their hobbies. I want to talk about their life. I want to talk about things that are going on in their life that maybe they don't share necessarily because nobody asks, right? Things like that. That's what I want this podcast to be. That's what I want the conversations to be. Right? I'm going to bring my dad on. We're going to talk about him being a pastor, right? That's what I want. I'm going to bring, some friends on. We're going to talk about injuries. We're going to talk about whatever comes up. It could be completely not sports related. This podcast could take a complete turn and we literally just do like a Bible study, or we could, take a turn and I have a bunch of people here that just want to sit around and just see what happens with a conversation. A lot of stuff could go with this. I just want raw conversation. That's all I want. What do I want listeners to gain from each episode? What should you expect to gain? It depends on the episode, right? Some episodes are going to be strictly sports. I'm just going to be honest, right? There's a lot of things that could happen in the sports world, like a big trade that happens, and I just analyze that. If you don't like that, I'm sorry. Some episodes are going to be interviews with people, right, that are catered towards their personal knowledge. So, like, I want to bring on athletes, and I want to talk about their sport. I want to talk about the things they like. I want to be able to have those types of conversations. That's what I want to do, right? And some of those interviews could take turns I never would have expected. It could be an educational thing, right? It could be something that is educational in the sense that you learn something. I'm teaching you something. I could be, uh, or someone's teaching me something, right? If I bring someone on, they're teaching me something new about sports that I've never heard. Like I have always wanted to figure out how to throw a baseball differently. I've never known how. Never figured it out. I want that, right? Stuff like that. Some episodes are gonna just be fun. They're gonna be completely random, completely entertaining, completely whatever. It's not gonna make any sense, right? I'm gonna be wearing like I'll wear something insane. It won't make any sense. No one will understand it, and it'll be fun to watch. Some episodes are gonna have perspective, right? And actually, I think all episodes will have perspective to some extent. And then some episodes are going to take a deeper dive into storytelling. So, like for example, this jersey. I don't know if you can see the full thing in the background, but this jersey over here, Demarius Thomas. I met him when I was little. He's my favorite player ever. And one episode is literally just gonna be me telling that story. I want to tell that story. I want to talk to the world about those experiences I've had and put that man back on the map, which he's been on the map. But like, rest in peace, Demarius Thomas, bro. That was one of the worst days of my life. We'll talk about it later. So, what can you expect going forward? What are some of the topics I'll cover? Like I said, sports news, statistics, trending stories, whatever. But here's the big thing. The big thing that I always talk about. Nothing is off limits. Nothing. Not a thing is off limits. There is not anything that I will talk about that is completely off limits. Nothing. If someone wants to go into a political conversation, if someone wants to go into a hard conversation, nothing's off limits. I want to talk about it. I want to share my life. I want to have other people share their life. I think this could be super impactful. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to do it. Nothing is off limits. I want to just emphasize that nothing. If you have an idea, or if you're someone who's interesting, that kind of sounds mean. If you're someone who knows me and who I know you at least briefly, and you want to come on this podcast and just share something, bro, do it. Like I will be all in. Come on, let's do it. I'll just host it. I'll mediate your talk. That's about it. Each episode, the reason it's ball, each episode will connect to sports in real life, right? We talk about club sports. We talk about youth sports. We talk about wanting to play sports, wanting your kids to play sports. How did your kids get into sports, right? Like things like that. Each episode, like I did with this, will begin talking about something related to sports. It could be statistics, it could be trade news, it could be stories about something related to sports, whatever. Also, the other reason it's a sports podcast technically is because the references I make, and like if I make a joke and I think of something funny, like if I decide to go make a snarky comment about Mike Vrabel and the things going on in his life, stuff like that, right? Something happens to where I think about that and I make a joke about it, like that's a lot of the references you'll get. Is sports. You're gonna get random sports references. If you don't get it, like you can Google it, right? Don't Google the Mike Vrabel. Actually, you could Google the Mike Vrabel stuff. You'll probably be interested. So who might I bring on? Right? I want to bring on former athletes. I want to bring on friends. I want to bring on family. I want to bring on current athletes. I want to bring on coaches, and then myself. Right? There's gonna be some episodes that are gonna end up being strictly audio, because it's just hard to get a full video. If I decide to interview someone completely away from this setup, it's gonna be tough, right? And so there's gonna be some exclusively audio episodes. There also might be exclusively video episodes. I don't really know how that would look or why I would do that, but there might be. There's so many ways I could go, man. I'm so excited for this. So why did I choose the name Clayball? What was the Clayball? Like why is that the name of the podcast? I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. So in my mind, this clay ball is a compound word, right? You have clay, which is me, and you have ball, which is ball. Clay, the clay side of it, right, is me talking about important things, me talking about things I'm interested in or things in my friends and family's life that's interesting that I talk about or whatever, or in just the world's point of view. And I just want to talk about it, right? It's the clay side is things that I want to talk about. It's topics that aren't related to sports. I want to be able to talk about the clay side of things. This is for this, as much as this is for you, this is also for me to be able to talk about things I want to talk about, important things that are on my mind, things like that. And then there's the ball side of it, which is the sports side. Not all sports have balls. Women's sports don't have balls. That was great. Anyways, sorry. I'm going to make myself laugh too. You have the ball side, you have the clay side. The ball side is sports. I want to be able to talk about sports. Clay ball means it's my own thing, it's my own sport. This right here, what I'm doing is my own sport to be able to create how I want it to do. That's why it's clay ball, right? Shout out my mom for that name. Shout out my mom for everything, man. She helped me build all this whole set. She helped me like set all this stuff up. Same with my dad. My dad helped with all the shelves and things like that. I'm so happy. My parents are great. So yeah, that is Clayball. This is the Clayball podcast. I'm so pumped. Like, I don't even think you understand. I am so unbelievably excited to talk about everything. I'm gonna reach out to athletes. If you guys know of people who might be interested, I'd love to be able to talk to them. I'm talking like college athletes, any level. They don't have to be stars. Former professional athletes, current professional athletes. If you guys know people, reach out to them for me. Give them my contact and tell them that there's a new podcast on the street. Yeah, yes, new podcast. I really hope this goes somewhere. I'm really excited to have conversations surrounding everything. If you don't like sports, that's fine. You don't have to like sports. The one thing that I will say is if you don't like sports, just skip over those first 15 minutes. Right? I'll tell you at the beginning of every episode or make some sort of comment, probably in the video side of it, how far you have to skip in order to get past the sports recap part of it. You don't have to listen to it. I'm so pumped. This is gonna be awesome. I don't even have a real closing thing to say. I hope that this is something that finds you well. I hope that all the comments I make aren't insane. And I just hope this is fun. I just want this to be fun. If you want to come on this, bro, reach out. Like, genuinely. If you got things you want to talk about, if you got sports you want to talk about, reach out to me. I want to talk to you. I do. So excited, you guys. I'm so excited. I can't even explain my excitement. I think this might be the end of the episode, just me saying how excited I am. So thank you for listening to the Clayball Podcast, baby. Let's go. Yeah.